disinformation on vaccines multiplied and was circulating so fast. And according to what Dr. Salas was saying, journalists do have an important role to play, for better or for worse, in disinformation. This is why we think it's important to think about this and how we as journalists can contribute to minimize circulation and impact of disinformation, and specifically on health matters. So I'm going to start with a short introduction with some vocabulary, some uh, terms. Uh, so for this, let me tell you who we are, who Chequeado is. We are a nonprofit organization. We started in 2010 working to improve public debate and fight disinformation. We maybe you have seen our notes, which is true, false, unsustainable, and all the other grades that we use. We also have other programs. We believe that journalism is essential to counteract disinformation, but it's not enough. That's why we have an education program, an innovation program, and an impact program here to let you know that Chequeado is based in Argentina. And so most of our work is here, but we also coordinate with other countries thanks to a network. It is called Latam Chequea, and almost all countries in the region have organizations to who check information. They do fact checking, and so it is important to be a part of this network because it may have good resources for you. So now let us talk about disinformation. What is disinformation? There are many definitions and concepts around. So to be on the same page, when we talk about disinformation, we're talking about false or devious content which circulate, especially through social networks. There's also disinformation circulating in other environments, in rumors, on the streets, when we talk with our neighbors, with the taxi driver, with the people at the grocery store. And also through traditional media or digital media, we find this disinformation circulating, and also with, especially in social networks. It didn't start with social networks, but now it is a lot more powerful through social networks because now you can have information spreading so rapidly like a wildfire. Also, when things are turned around, eh, this information is not in a vacuum. There is an ecosystem which leads to that disinformation being spread. There are anonymous messages and social networks. For example, in March 2020, when we got information circulating about how the virus had started, what were the symptoms, how you could transmit it, and what countries had it, there was so much information arriving. So it was bombarding us. And so in this context, it is very hard to separate what is information and disinformation. So it's harder to separate one from the other. In many of our countries, there is mistrust in the authorities, and some reasons justifiably, in others, not so much. But sometimes audiences don't trust authorities, and this allows disinformation to spread more quickly. And also, there are what we call disinformation amplifiers. Also, disinformation uses sensitive topics and exploits prejudice, for example, with minorities, or also in gender issues. Also, matters such as xenophobia, things that happen in a society that may be biases, and they use these to make disinformation stronger. Disinformation can take different forms. In the end, we don't talk about fake news because sometimes disinformation is not the news. It could be something that we see on WhatsApp, but we have different forms which And this is something I wanted to mention beyond the different points. We not always have something that is absolutely false. Sometimes we have things that may be true, but that they are uh, showing things that are, for example, a picture from a hospital that is circulating as if it were just 2 years, or things that show from a country, but it's another country. These are actual pictures that are given a false context, and they are made appear as something they are not. With WhatsApp, they tell you, "Oh, this is a doctor," but we really have no idea who that voice is, and we see this kind of content, which is modified from something that was true, but then it's no longer. So, what are the possible motivations? And this is important because if we want to have good strategies to counteract disinformation, we need to try to understand where this information is coming from and who are the people who are generating it and sharing it. There are different motivations. One could be money. This information is made to generate strong emotions and something to be shared quickly. So we are indignant. So we are angry. We have different strong emotions. And so we want to share things quickly. And sharing quickly is something that it can be monetized and it can become money. So if it is monetized through publicity, etc., you can have a group of followers, and you can say, well, buy or sell from this person. So money can be also a motivation. Another motivation could be political. And in this case, for example, we can see it with some groups that are anti vaxxers, that they are convinced deeply, and they then give disinformation. And also there is mistrust in some people. People can generate disinformation, and they present something as if it were part of the same thing. So we also see this not so much in those who generate, but in those who share disinformation. Someone who is sharing information through the cell phone. And so you have pictures from your cousin and and issues from different pictures from your family, from this, that, and then you share something because you're just kind of in there, and somebody sent you this, a family member, and you just pass it along. And I can share with you the rest of the material. We will have more material, and we need to understand who are these actors that spread disinformation and how they impact different places. There are also what we call the amplifiers. These are characters that may have different followers. These actors are uh, people such as journalists. If we are not careful of the way in which we spread information, we can amplify this. So we can take something that was circulating in a small, closed network, and they will take them to a different area. And so we can go from small groups, and then they are amplifiers.